Hi, everyone. It's Shirley Farrar, and this is Encouragement on Fire. So, we took a week off, but we are back. And I am so glad you are here with me. We are talking about active listening in the next 12 parts of the podcast. So, listening that transforms, it's designed to strengthen our communication, deepen our relationships, and reflect God's love in how we listen. So today we're talking about the foundation of active listening. And if you've ever felt unheard, how many of you have felt unheard? You're probably feeling unheard right now. You felt dismissed. You know how powerful it feels when someone truly listens. Hmm. They're not just hearing you or your words, but they actually understand your heart. You know, it's powerful when someone actually takes time and understand the difference between hearing versus listening. There's a big difference, and hearing is more passive. You catch the words, but you might not catch the meaning of the person's words. And listening is, especially active listening, is intentional. It's choosing to give someone your undivided attention, to understand both their words and their feelings. How many of you have felt in a conversation that someone, they weren't listening, they just didn't hear your heart? So let's think about it. How many times in that conversation, someone's nodding their head, but you clearly know they're not really listening to you? You know, they're mostly in their head. So it's like they're thinking about some things. And they're thinking about something else. They're not listening to you. It's almost like they give this dazed look on their face. I've done it myself. And if you're that person, you're not really active listening. You're kind of, you're already thinking about what you're about to say to their words instead of hearing them completely out and then responding, right? So we have to understand the difference between active listening and hearing. It's important for us to slow down and be fully present. So, number two, I would say, is why is active listening important? Why does it even matter, right? Because when people feel heard, they feel valued. And listening is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways we can show that we love someone. I'll give you an example. So in the Bible, it says in 119 in James, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. So if you notice the order of this, so the first thing is what? Listen, right? So we have two ears, one mouth. Two ears, one mouth, right? So we listen. And then we respond, not just respond, we wait to hear, right? We fully listen, and then respond to what the person completely said. And we use wisdom and we use patience. So if we skip the listening part, we often end up with what? Misunderstanding, hmm, conflicts, someone is hurt. You didn't hear me. You didn't listen because we think we already know what they were going to say. So there are some barriers to listening. And let's be honest, listening does not come naturally. We have to be intentional about listening. We face several of the barriers, and one of them is distractions. We talked about this in prior podcasts. The phone buzzes, notifications, the pop-ups, right? The TV is on. We live in a noisy world. Everything's going on outside. The babies are crying. The children are talking, right? It's a lot going on. But then there's the next one, assumptions, right? We think we already know what the person is going to say because we think we know them. Does that sound familiar? So we tune out. We tune out because I already know what they're going to say. I'm just going to give them my version of what I think. But that's not active listening. And then there's the inner dialogue. We all have that, right? We rehearse our response. So even while the person's talking, we're literally rehearsing our response to what we're going to tell them. You ever hear someone say, "Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I know." I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. We have to, if we're those people, we have to stop doing that. That's not active listening. So, in order for us to active listen, to build relationship with those that are around us, there's some things that we all have to change. And I'm included in that. So here's the truth. We can't active listen and mentally argue at the same time. Something has to give. So number 4, building presence. I think this is really powerful because how we build the foundation for active listening, how do we do that? Well, it starts with presence. And presence means choosing to be fully engaged with the person in front of you. So right now, I'm fully engaged with you. You matter. And sometimes when we are fully engaged, it might look something like this. So I put down the phone. I make eye contact with you. I may nod, but I also give small verbal cues like I see, tell me more. I allow silence without rushing in to feel it. How many of us we have to feel the silence? It's like you can't have silence in a conversation. You always have to be, oh, somebody has to be talking. No, active listening is not like that. We listen. Sometimes there are pauses. Because you must use patience and you must use wisdom in your responses. And sometimes we have to say, I honestly don't have a response for you. I might need to pray about it, or I might need to reflect on that. I may need to get back to you. You don't always have to have an answer. But active listening is very valuable and very important. And then I'd like to share a little story with you, a story of Jesus listening. I think of how Jesus interacted with people and he wasn't distracted. He was very present. He wasn't rushing to prove his point. One example in John chapter 4 with the Samaritan woman at the well. Jesus asked her a question. He let her speak with her truth and he listened deeply before responding. His attention to her gave dignity and active listening, and it opened the door for transformation in her life. So I have an assignment for you, a practice active listening assignment. In your next conversation, I would like for you to allow the person who is speaking that maybe you have cut off or maybe they've cut you off. Sometimes we have to be the example. But give 2 minutes, full 2 minutes. If you don't know what 2 minutes feels like, don't count in your head because that's not active listening. You may need to use one of them little hourglasses and flip it over and give it 2 minutes. Or say to the person, you know what? Do you mind? I'm trying to do some practice of active listening and I really truly would like to time myself and give you a chance to talk and myself a chance to talk. Now, if you don't want to spoil it and tell them what you're doing, you're going to have to be patient and listen to them and then say, are you are you finished? Okay, then I'd like to respond. And you do it gently. You know, don't plan your response. Sometimes in our head we already know what the person is going to say based on past responses or past history. But this time, let's do something different, right? Don't interrupt and just focus. Focus on their words, like watch their mouth, right? Watch their tone, respond to their tone, their emotions. And afterwards, I want you to reflect on how did this change the conversation between you and that person? And how did it make the other person feel? Did they respond differently? I bet they did. So, the foundation of active listening is what? Presence. When we listen with intention, we're not just improving communication, no, but we're listening to the person's heart, right? And I think that's the most important thing. Hearing someone, listening to them, responding with wisdom, providing encouragement, and being present. And I am encouraged because next week we are going to talk about part two, the listening posture, and how your body language and presence can communicate louder than words. So I'm Shirley Farrar, and this has been Encouragement on Fire. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.